Welcome to the Solemn Tones podcast. Today we are talking about 360-degree strategy. Today is actually a really interesting episode because it's the first episode where I'm also filming the podcast and I will be putting it on YouTube. Now, that actually ties into what we're talking about today. Like I said, the 360-degree strategy. Now, what do I mean by that? This is actually a really well-known thing for marketing, and it means that you have your brand, whether that is a coffee-loving hobo, doesn't matter what your brand is, but that you tackle it from many angles so that no matter where someone is or finds you, they will see a new angle of your brand and be able to interact with that brand in a different way. So 360 degree would, for example, be like you have an event where your brand is part of it and people get to, I don't know, shoot balloons and get some kind of prize about your brand, blah, blah, blah. But then if they go on Instagram, they can also take a photo with a polar bear of your brand, and then on Snapchat there's some kind of insane cool filter because they're on the event location, and then when they get home and they post a thing with a special hashtag, they can still win some prize. And then at the same time they could also consume some content from you on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook, and everything basically ties in together. But no matter where one goes, they can always find a new angle to basically interact with the brand. That's a 360-degree strategy. And we see many huge brands pulling this off very well. If you look at, for example, and yes, I will keep using this example constantly because people hate him, and I get why. There's obviously some really fucked up shit he's done. But Logan Paul is an insane, great archetype for what kind of marketing works in this 2018 era. And so Logan Paul has his YouTube channel, obviously, but then he also has his Facebook with all the viral videos going on. He has his Instagram with loads of viral photos of him, always small ones, so he's not a daily poster kind, but still his Instagram is huge. Then he also had the pop-up shop thing and the biggest meet and greet in the world, and all these kinds of things all tie together into the Maverick brand, which is then another thing to be a part of. Just huge. There is so many angles at which you can consume his content, and the more angles you are a part of, the more interesting and a deep connection you create with him. And so why does this matter? Well, as I said before in various different episodes, if you haven't checked them out, you totally should. Oh my god, the Solemn Tones podcast is so amazing. Well, so why this matters is people's attention spans are decreasing and they like consuming content, lots of it. So when people want to consume you enough to a point where they would do this constantly, you need to have many angles to A, keep it interesting, but B, to actually be able to put out a large enough volume that people can get to it. So what do I mean? Well, you can't just upload 8 hours a day on YouTube, but you can upload 8 hours a day on YouTube, take some bits from that part and put it into a podcast, take a screenshot of that video and turn it into an Instagram post, and blah, 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 and just take the same piece of content and extrapolate even more content out of it. That's something these Paul brothers do really well. And so you just want to be able to hit that brand from many angles. Now, this is why I said that it's very relevant that I'm actually filming right now, because I am podcasting right now. I'm filming it. I'm putting that on YouTube, but then on other platforms I put the podcast on. I will then make an Instagram story with one takeaway from this podcast. I will promote the podcast episode on whatever platform is relevant. I will post a photo of me doing this podcast. I will vlog the fact that I just did the podcast, further funneling the audience this way. In the podcast, there will be music in the future of mine, and inside the podcast, I'll give info that is valuable to producers/musicians to then funnel them to Solemn Tones, through which I give awesome tools to musicians. So there will be, and I'm still building this, by the way. I'm not big enough yet, and I'm not in the habit enough yet where I can do this consistently, but I'm trying, I'm starting to implement all these tiny things. But once I get to that place, you will see this gigantic network of various platforms around the brand I am creating, all working together. And this way people can consume me anywhere, everywhere, no matter their preference, because some people prefer podcasts, some people don't have time for videos, but others really want the video, and so forth. And that way you are always accessible. And if you have those people who really love you in every single way, they can even consume you even more, because your valuable time just turned into way more content than normally. So as I said, I'm not huge yet. I'm gradually adding this kind of 360 style to my lifestyle. So right now, this is the first time I'm actually filming the podcast. I still need to make the YouTube channel. I actually started posting on Instagram regularly again. I am storying every single day. I now have to start gradually implementing the swipe up feature that I just got because I'm above 10K followers on Instagram, I thought it was, yes. And I'm also a business account, so that helps. Then the next step is to actually release music again with music videos, which I can then make memes around on my Facebook page, which will then create new fans, because Facebook, as I said, is the viral platform. That's why all the platforms I'm on right now aren't big, because I'm doing nothing that is discover worthy. I am doing nothing that distributes what I'm doing right now to more people, because I'm not ready. Because imagine if I did a viral video right now like I did with the doggo covers, those people would come to that doggo cover or whatever the hell and be like, okay, this is cool, and now what? Nothing, because there is no content yet. So I am gradually adding all of these bits into my lifestyle so I can actually consistently do all of this every single day, as I said I would and as I said I had to, in order to then add in that final element, that Facebook virality, that Instagram hashtag lifestyle, that's so hard to do, but once you get it going, then I add the promoted posts into it. Then people come into the funnel, but I at least have those multiple hours of content ready already. The podcast with so many episodes, the videos of the podcast with so many episodes, the Instagram posts going through all kinds of thoughts and the music creation process and so forth. So all of this is kind of like my leap into setting up that 360-degree strategy. And I'm telling you right now, because once it turns out that I was right, if I'm not, okay, too bad, but if I am, I can first of all go, told you so, but secondly, and way more importantly, you will be able to see the strategy being built up from the ground. Because you got the first episodes of the Solemn Tones podcast, where I go into the more bare basic things, where I didn't film yet, where I didn't maybe have the swipe up feature for Instagram yet, and you see me mentioning them, gradually adding them into the strategy, and you see it flourishing into hopefully that 360-degree strategy where I have content on every single platform, every single day, and it will hopefully seem like I am at 20 places at the same time, because I am just pushing out so much content because I planned it all and I made it a habit. So hopefully in X months or maybe a year, it'll be interesting to see how this was the seed where I explained that goal, I explained that strategy, and then started putting all of the bits together. Now, that was it for this episode. I know this was maybe a little self-centered, but really the takeaway is you need to start considering adding into your lifestyle ways to create a 360-degree strategy to a point where you can consistently make content, and consistently means every single day, around your brand, keeping it relevant, keeping it high quality, so that then eventually, when you're like, let's say 2 months in, you can drop some viral stuff, but then also those new people can start consuming all of that stuff you've been putting out, and that way binge watch you. That way you have time to create even more content and keep them with you forever, because that's what this is about, sustainability. I hope you found this interesting. Please, if you're on iTunes, leave a positive review. It's so important to me. Anyways, I will see you soon on the Solemn Tones podcast. Ciao.